Figment chamber ensemble.
Chamber ensemble. Yeah.
I was gonna say chamber figment. Hey guys, it's Ben VanderHart with Yellow Racket Records. We are here for another installment of Your Favorite Record with Ben Van Winkle. This is the series where we ask folks the personal story behind their favorite record and how it came to be so. So welcome, Ben.
I feel welcome. Thanks for having me.
Ben Van Winkle is an artist based here in Chattanooga, a cellist, a multi-instrumentalist, a guitarist, a drummer, plays with the Chattanooga Symphony Orchestra, and he also heads the project Ben Van Winkle and the, I'm going to mess that up, Figment Chamber Ensemble.
Yeah.
I was going to say Chamber Figment. Ben also heads up the project Ben Van Winkle and the Figment Chamber Ensemble. They have a new record coming out this September. So Ben, let's jump right into it.
All right.
What is your favorite record of all time?
I don't think I've ever really thought too hard about it, but the one I chose for this is the one I've listened to the most, and I figured that was a good place to start. And the record's called De-loused in the Comatorium, which is a crazy name, by a band called the Mars Volta. I love this album because it's straight through. I think it's the first album I experienced where it feels like one track. It just has this feel about it.
Yeah.
And that's
it is a concept album, right? That's like kind of the purpose. It's like telling the story of a man who overdoses and goes into a coma, and like what he experiences in his mind.
What?
You know, this is new.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the De-loused in the Comatorium, the coma refers to at the band had known a poet in their hometown of El Paso, Texas, and that this album was sort of dedicated to him and loosely based on an experience of an overdose-induced coma, and imagining what that might be like and sort of the psychological turmoil of an experience like that.
So the lyrics do make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. They just sound like a bunch of really big words, but I love it.
I think that music is made up of all these different elements, and we all value them differently. So whether you prioritize harmony or melody or rhythm or texture. So what do you think you prioritize? What do you look for when you're listening to music?
Depends on what I'm trying to get out of the music in that moment, but in general, I think people would be surprised on the simplicity of the music I listen to a lot. But then again, like I said, there are times where I want music to challenge my brain. I want to think about it. I want to kind of be inspired a little more. So in those cases, I'm really interested in being surprised. That's usually always makes me love whatever I'm listening to.
Yeah. And De-loused in the Comatorium really does that, doesn't it? It's very accessible in a lot of ways, but it's also inventive.
And there's a lot of stuff. So I listened to that album when I was in high school with my brother, actually middle school. For years, I had really never thought about what the sounds were. I just it was just music. I had never really analyzed it, and I realized how intricate it was. But I think the beauty of it was that you don't have to know what the stuff is. I want to go back to like the way this was crafted. I mean, they spent a lot of time crafting its intricacies and making it super complicated, but I enjoyed it without understanding it. As complicated as the music I make is, or if it is, that's not really the point. It's just to have an interesting vibe and to surprise where you don't have to understand it necessarily.
It's really interesting to think about this war, even between very talented and academic composers, about does music have to be accessible? How much do we value complexity and things like these? I
think as long as you're not striving for complexity for the sake of complexity.
Sure.
If you're striving for beauty always, if you understand music, then hopefully people who understand music also find it beautiful. But the real prize is when everyone finds it beautiful, even if they don't understand it.
And there's a science and a craft behind behind making it.
So the important thing is understanding those patterns and then breaking them. If you expect what's coming next and you're given something else that works even more beautifully or interestingly, that's what I strive to do in music.
To make this even more personal, we've talked about the importance of nostalgia in how we choose our favorite albums.
Yeah.
Is there a particular person or a place that you associate with this album, or someone that you share a special bond with over this album?
Oh yeah, my brother, Philip, and it's in his truck, his Nissan Frontier, because the CD lived in his truck for years. And my older brother too, because like, if you listen to this album, and I highly recommend you do, it's got the most epic drop. And me and my brothers just crank it up in the middle of the night driving.
Are you talking about the transition from track 1 to track 2?
Yeah. It's awesome. It's amazing at making you excited. this is before I was really into music. This was like middle school, high school. Yeah, so very nostalgic, and that's probably the main reason I keep going back to it.
Yeah. Why should people watching listen to this album?
For me, I haven't heard anything else like it. That's the one thing that I think has always set it apart for me, is that the tracks connect. It's an hour of, it almost feels like one track. Listen to the first 2 tracks, and if you're hooked, you're hooked.
All right, well, you've heard it from Ben Van Winkle. His favorite record is De-loused in the Comatorium by the Mars Volta.
Yeah.
Ben has a new album coming out.
The actual release date will happen whenever we're able to have a show.
In the meantime, we've got some vinyl pressings that will be available here in September.
Yeah, so that's going to be on September 12th.
Yes. So keep an eye out for that. We'll share updates on social media. You can come get an advance copy of the record on vinyl here at the shop from Ben Van Winkle and the Figment Chamber.
Yes, sir.
The album's called Saunter On. This has been the latest installment of your favorite record. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Figment Chamber. We'll do it live.